to another great fireside chat with Sam Castor, our CEO from Alovéa. At Alovéa, we believe in doing health different, and that involves getting some of the best, most exclusive nutrient technologies and bringing them to the marketplace, while at the same time helping to address nutrition deficiencies in children all around the world. Tonight, we're going to talk about whole food versus synthetic nutrients. So to kick us off, please welcome our CEO, Mr. Sam Castor. Sam, take it away.
Well, thanks, Stephen. It's good to have you as a co-host on this call. And tonight we're going to talk about poor nutrition. Years ago, we used to talk in terms of malnutrition. And when we talked about malnutrition, it was typically you were referring to kids in developing nations of the world. But today, malnutrition has expanded into every country of the world. So why do we need supplements in the first place? Let's just go there, because we have access to incredible food supply. But here's the challenge. Our most common fruits and vegetables have lost significant levels of their vitamin mineral content. There used to be an old saying in the medical community that you wouldn't need any supplementation if you just eat right. Well, the problem is that's almost impossible to do in today's world. And every 50 years, the USDA measures the nutritional value of our most common foods. And the last time they did this was 2006. And it talked about the significant decline in vitamin mineral content. Why? Because modern agriculture gets paid by the pound, not by the nutritional value. So we have created all kinds of techniques to grow fruits and vegetables faster and bigger. And the consequence is with a lot less nutritional value. So everything in the center aisles of the grocery store is basically processed. Once you leave the fruit and vegetable counter and, the meat and dairy, it's almost all processed, all the packaged foods. So approximately 90% of every dollar spent in America today buys a processed food. So what's the challenge with processed foods? Well, they've been voided of their nutritional value. They've been filled with chemicals to create better taste, better shelf life, better color, more stability. And the problem is that is the new American diet, heavily supported by processed foods. So no matter how well we try to eat today, it's almost impossible to nourish ourselves appropriately through diet alone. Okay, so now we know we have a malnourished society. Not just developing nations, but everybody around the world. Hey, listen, 75% of all of our healthcare costs are spent on disease conditions that could have been eliminated through better diet. So it's important that we know how to solve the problem. This was industry's solution. They thought, gosh, we reinvented food. That went pretty well. What if we just reinvented nutrients? And then came the development of synthetically made vitamins and minerals to fill the essential nutrient gap that occurred out there in society. What's the advantage of synthetically made nutrients? They're very inexpensive. They're just chemical isolates that are made predominantly from petroleum. They're used extensively in the enrichment of processed foods. And of course, we see them in our vitamin mineral supplements. In fact, 95% of every vitamin mineral supplement sold in America today are synthetically made. So where do vitamins come from? They're synthetically made from petroleum products like coal tar. And so they're chemical isolates that look close or almost identical to the chemical isolate that exists in food. So for instance, if we talk about vitamin C, the chemical isolate would be ascorbic acid. You've heard of ascorbic acid. We call that vitamin C, but ascorbic acid doesn't exist like that in nature. It's always in a food matrix, in a whole food composition. And minerals are basically ground up rocks. And we never eat rocks that haven't been eaten by a plant first. Why is that important? Because a plant can take a rock, a mineral, up through its root system, bond it into a food matrix, and make it 20 times more soluble, which means usable in human physiology than just the rock itself. Doctors Without Borders came out with an entire campaign entitled, "Food is Not Enough." What they said is these enriched grain-based cereals do not provide the nutritional support that children need to thrive. And so they call for nutritionally dense, ready-to-use nutritional whole food products. Could we, improve our quality of life through supplementation? Two kinds of vitamins, water soluble like vitamin C. If you take a high level of vitamin C called ascorbic acid, what your body can't use because it's a chemical isolate, it just discards in the form of urine. That's why doctors used to say, oh, you can supplement your diet. It's nothing more than expensive urine. Why? Because they could see high levels of ascorbic acid in urine. They could detect it. So that's what happens to high levels of synthetic water-soluble vitamins. The problem is when you get to fat-soluble vitamins like vitamin E, vitamin A, vitamin D, then you had a completely different dynamic going on. So you see here study number 1, vitamin E, trying to reduce the risk of lung cancer in high-risk individuals, smokers, asbestos workers. The study had to be stopped halfway through the study because those that were getting the synthetic vitamin intervention versus the placebo had an increase of 46% of lung cancer and 26% early death over the group that was getting the placebo. I mean, that's inconceivable. Second example here, birth defects increased in women on synthetic supplements, 22,000 pregnant women, synthetic vitamin E. The study again had to be halted because the birth defect rate increased 400% in the group getting synthetic vitamins. Now, both of those were reported in New England Journal of Medicine. Well, the vitamin industry at that point went ballistic, and they said, these are isolated cases. Everybody knows that the intervention of vitamins is a healthy thing to do. So a group went out and did what's called a meta-analysis. In other words, they looked at all the studies that were credible from around the world. They found 47 large-based clinical trials where individuals were getting synthetic forms of vitamin A, beta-carotene, and vitamin E at larger doses than would just be found in the common balanced diet. And guess what? Every single study showed an increase, double-digit increase in the risk of disease and death. And the researchers were quick to point out that these observations did not apply to natural antioxidant vitamins such as those found in real whole food fruits and vegetables. So why do people get sick? Why would it increase your risk of disease and death to supplement with a chemical isolate? Again, your body can't use synthetic vitamins very effectively. In some cases of life and death, they're definitely better than nothing. But if you're trying to supplement with what your body needs, you would never take a synthetic vitamin or mineral. And so what happens with fat solubles, vitamins is isolates, they don't come out in your urine. They actually get stored in your liver and your fat cells. And then they start causing high levels of toxicity. High levels of toxicity are one of the main challenges of oxidative stress, chronic inflammation, poor functioning immune system. So we exacerbate the problems of poor cell health by taking vitamin supplements. The solution is whole food consumption. Consuming vitamins and minerals in a food matrix is what your body needs for proper utilization. And this next paper was published basically explaining that. It's entitled Food Not Nutrients is the Fundamental Unit of something. I can't see it. It says that foods are comprised of synergistic blend of various nutrients bound together in what's called a food matrix. It's the food matrix, not the individual nutrient constituents that best support human biological processes. We provide what are called whole food supplements. I'm going to let him tell you what the fermentation process is all about and really the difference between the chemical structures of whole food and synthetic vitamins. Steve, all yours.
Well, thanks, Sam. And there are so many issues with supplementation out there because the FDA doesn't really have a defined definition of natural. There are so many variations. So a product can be 90% synthetic, 10% natural, and they can label it as natural. We're not looking at something that is designed to look like it does in nature. So what happens is our manufacturer takes this liquid nutrient and ferments it into nutritional yeast. And then they kill off the live action of that yeast. It takes about 72 hours for that fermentation process. And then those vitamin and minerals are converted. They are biotransformed into something that our bodies will recognize as food. When that happens, it doesn't just convert it into a mineral just like you would see in a synthetic form. It actually adds cofactors to it, proteins, lipids, glucans. It does all of these things to convert, even enzymes, convert that synthetic vitamin and mineral, or the rocks and dirt vitamin mineral, into a matrix that our body recognizes. So if you look at the screen here, we've got an orange and we've got ascorbic acid. Ascorbic acid isn't bad. We can utilize that form of vitamin C to an extent, but again, it's missing a lot of things. When we take in synthetic vitamins, it's not that our bodies can't get any use. We can get some use from them, but the problem is they don't stay in our digestive tract long enough for our bodies to ferment them ourselves, because we do ferment as we process and break down foods, fruits, vegetables, meats, etc. But what's unique about our vitamins and minerals is when they're biotransformed, they become what is known as amphiphilic. They have a water-loving, a hydrophilic end, and a hydrophobic end, an oil-loving end. And our gut is lined with this epithelial lining, but there are actually multiple. There's the mucosal, the submucosal layers, and we need to get that vitamin and mineral digested and into our bloodstream. Well, the good thing about having something that is amphiphilic is it will actually go through the water-based tissues and the fat-based layers to get into our bloodstream and give us what we need. When you take a synthetic, that doesn't happen. It's trapped in the digestive tract, and hopefully you can get some benefit from it. And again, it's the same thing with processed foods. But let's go back to our example here on the screen. When you look at vitamin C with ascorbic acid, it is just vitamin C. But when you look at an orange, you see all of these different cofactors that are involved in that. So when you break down the power of a fermented nutrient, you see this is just 1 gram of vitamin C yeast. If you look at 100 grams in a natural orange, that's about a medium-sized orange, you're looking at 53 milligrams of vitamin C, as you see on the screen there, versus in the yeast, we can get 250 milligrams out of 1 gram. And again, citrus bioflavonoid complex, 43 milligrams in a natural orange, 100 milligrams in the yeast. Now in a synthetic, by the way, you're not getting that at all. You're missing that altogether. Protein and amino acids, 240 milligrams in the yeast. There's 940 in the orange, which that's okay. We can't always eat an orange, and not everybody's going to eat an orange every day. Lipids, 50 milligrams to 63 milligrams. And then we get to carbohydrates. And let's talk about not including sugar. Carbohydrates in the form of a whole fruit or vegetable, you've got fiber with that. That is one of the most important factors in consuming fruits and vegetables. You know, there was this juicing fad a while back, and there are even supplement companies that take it from juice and they dehydrate that down and extract the vitamins and minerals from that, but it's still missing the fiber. It's still missing important cofactors that are robbed from that substance when you juice these fruits and vegetables. So we also can look at sugar. You know, in a glass of orange juice, and most orange juice is labeled 8 ounces, but in a 12-ounce glass of orange juice, there is almost as much sugar as there is in a 12-ounce can of soda. It's remarkable. It's only about 3 grams of sugar difference between the two. It's just insane to think about. You can be drinking a glass of orange juice with no pulp. Most Americans do prefer it without pulp, and you're getting the same amount of sugar as a Coca-Cola, very high glycemic. Now, I'm not saying orange juice is bad for you, but if you're saying there's lots of different ways to get my vitamin C for the day, listen, the product that we put out, the whole food nutrition, through the brewer's yeast, through this nutritional yeast, is much more efficient. And then you've also got glutathione. That is a very potent antioxidant. It's the only one that we as humans produce ourselves in our bodies. It's produced in the liver, and it's good that we actually get glutathione from our food sources as well. And then, of course, beta-glucans and the RNA and DNA. This is very important for you to see and understand. The fact that it leaches cofactors out of our tissues if we don't have it. Vitamins and minerals, just like water. If you drink distilled water, it will have to balance itself out. It will leach cofactors from your tissues. The same thing happens with vitamins and minerals. It's no wonder that these vitamins and minerals that are synthetic, especially the fat-soluble ones, can be so toxic. You know, we have the hepatic portal of our liver, and that takes these oils and nutrients up in there. If that gets clogged up, you could cause a lot of issues. This is not a hydrophilic substance. This is actually a solid oil, and you can't process too much of that through your liver at one time. It isn't the same as fish oil or these healthy natural oils. This is actually a synthesized oil. And vitamin A should be coming from something like retinol, or it should be coming from the beta carotene in fruits and vegetables. It shouldn't be coming from these chemical isolates that they make it from in so many different supplements out there. So we have this formulation that we call daily. How often should we take it? How about daily? And daily is formulated with whole food vitamins and minerals, probiotics, antioxidants, and enzyme supplements. Now, two of those things make this very unique. There are plenty of people in the marketplace marketing vitamins that they say are whole food or they're food matrix, etc. Supplement manufacturers started using more and more synthetics, adding a little bit of food in there, and they're saying, oh, it's in a food matrix because we blended it up. That's not the case here. We are using actual food, 100% food matrix vitamins and minerals. And we were able to add a probiotic and enzyme to this formulation. How did we do that? Because probiotics actually can consume food-based vitamins and minerals. Well, we use an enteric coated. It is a coated probiotic that doesn't break open until it gets into our digestive tract. It gets into the acid of our stomach, and it breaks those open and releases those probiotics. We put about 5 billion colony-forming units of probiotics in every daily amount of daily. That's about what we pass out in our stools every day. So we're making sure we are continuing to proliferate the good bacteria in our gut, and enzymes as well, because no matter what, you want to help break these vitamins and minerals down as quickly as possible. We want to get them through the intestinal walls. We want to get them into the digestive tract and have them be fully absorbed so we can utilize them. So to break that down, as I said, 5 billion colony forming units of probiotics a day. We use a full spectrum of digestive enzymes in there. And we have a superfood blend that is made up of specific fruits and vegetables that help the body even more readily recognize this whole food nutrition and make it more bioavailable to our bodies. And that's very important. You know, it's not about how much you put in, it's about how much you're able to utilize. And part of the reason that the USRDA has such high amounts of certain products versus what we put in our product is you can't get full use out of those rocks and dirt that you're taking with those types of vitamins. The coal tar, the petroleum, you know, all they do is manipulate the molecule a little bit so that the carbon resembles these vitamins and minerals, and then they're able to label them as these vitamins and minerals. A lot of people have asked me, how can they take coal tar and call it vitamin D? How could they take coal tar and label it vitamin K? How do they do those kinds of things? Well, they're able to alter those carbon molecules, but our bodies still aren't there recognizing what those things are.
Thanks, Steve, for tonight. Listen, I hope you guys got a good perspective on what whole food is. Steve did mention something interesting, that from time to time, you're going to see ascorbic acid in our products. It's not because we're trying to provide a vitamin C level with it. It's because ascorbic acid, by the way, is one of the best natural preservatives that you can put in a whole food product. So we do use ascorbic acid because there's literally no harm with a water soluble because it provides a good source of natural antibiotic or preservative. So anyway, learned a lot tonight about whole food vitamins and minerals. We hope you have a new appreciation for daily. And by the way, we put those same whole food vitamins and minerals in our bars and in our shakes.